Wooly is Sans Undertale. Of course. How could I have not seen it? Well, Wooly is white, Sans is white, the black eyes? It all makes sense now. Wooly's real identity is Sans. White Wolf Games 183 says, what if the apple in the title of the games is meant to reflect the state of Rebecca's body in the Hameln facility? The first one is a fresh apple because those were the tapes that were around when Kate was alive and investigating the show. In the second game, the apple's rotting, and in the third game, it's completely rotted.
Someone cooked here.
This is a fire theory, and it builds off of a lot of the claims I made in my Amanda Can't Be Saved video, which is that Amanda's real body is still out there somewhere rotting. This was actually something that I missed when I was recording that video, which is unfortunate because this is like such a fire piece of evidence for that theory and perfectly fits into the narrative that I was saying. The way the titles change from normal apple to rotting apple to completely decomposed apple perfectly supports my theory about Rebecca and possibly Wooly actively decomposing. So after all of this theory, I can confirm that Aunt Kate is hot AF.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
Hold on, let me see something real quick. FX Music 2009, you are a lot of things. Down bad, maybe, but wrong? Nah. All right, next one is from Jazzy. Oh, God. Jazz Paimon. Y'all have some crazy names. Could they all be in the game? Question mark. Like maybe they are pulling a back rooms Poppy Playtime situation. The Hameln headquarters was empty because they transitioned it completely into the game world or a deeper dimension. But maybe they are also a remainder of some type of cult rapture that actually worked. Okay, so the reason I included this theory into the video is because I think it's really interesting. I don't think there's necessarily any evidence for this. Like there's no evidence that Hameln headquarters or Hameln at all is like inside the show itself, but like that's a pretty cool theory, right? Like imagine if Hameln was like inside the show and they're just like in one of the buildings like operating it from the inside like the Matrix or something. What if the person you play as in the demo is Wooly? Blood. Oh wait, hold up, this dude Tom Malice was way ahead of me. How would Wooly be in the tapes then? True, I guess. Why does this guy kind of look like Tommy NFG? Oh, because we're both black?
Correct!
Back before Amanda 3, I thought Sam was the barn in the petting zoo episode because it started breathing really hard after you said the daddy was Sam. Funnily enough, when I was scripting my Sam theory, this actually was something I considered. I considered the possibility of Sam being a background object and specifically a character in this episode because the whole theme of that like barn farm episode is family, right? So I found it very plausible that Sam, or at least there was some kind of clue related to Sam hidden in that episode. There was a time where I thought that the daddy rooster from this episode could have possibly been Sam. But I ruled it out just because I felt like Sam wouldn't be a background object. He just felt too important. But there is something to be said about that moment. When Amanda brings up Sam, every object in the episode looks at the screen, and it is incredibly creepy. Cozy Clay Dandy says, I think Sam did escape to an extent, but then got caught because when the guards are saying the security codes in the tapes, when Sam is forced to get Rebecca to trust Hameln, his facial expressions also change when they are saying the codes like he was trying to remember them.
This is gas.
Okay, this is a great theory because if you actually look at the tape and pay attention, he's right. Sam actually does look at the guard as the guard is saying his access codes, which could mean a lot of things, right? But all we know for sure that it means is that Sam is recording these codes in his head to somehow use to possibly escape Hameln or to save his daughter. Something, right? I guess in Amanda 3 we'll find out exactly what happened to Sam. Like I said, I'm pretty sure he got murked by Hameln and buried in the show, but maybe something happened before that. Maybe there's a story to Sam that we don't really know yet. So we'll see. And I think that this comment is a great clue to that. Based on what we know about Sam, he seems like he cares about Rebecca enough to not go down without a fight. So I wouldn't be surprised if he took these codes and tried to escape Hameln and save Rebecca and honestly just have some kind of crazy plan. I mean, based on my last video, we know that it didn't work out. But the next theory is coming from Maris Sajo 7775. Okay, I'm just gonna say this, and not because Wooly happens to be my favorite character, but I think the previous Wooly in the first game was not evil. He tries to help Riley and talk to her alone to warn her about Amanda. And it's quite possible that he was placed into the show not knowing anything about Rebecca and he's scared of her. This does bring up a really great question, which is something I've kind of tapped into on a couple of my theories, but I do think it's a topic worth revisiting, which is what exactly happened to Wooly between Amanda the Adventurer 1 and 2? I mean, Amanda literally killed him in one of the episodes in Amanda 2, and he disappears from multiple tapes. So is this the same Wooly from the first game? Now, I've thought about this, and I do believe it's the same Wooly just because they have the exact same voice, and they mostly act the same with maybe some slight differences. But I can totally see how this could be a different Wooly. I mean, like it or not, there 100% is some inconsistencies between Wooly in the first game and the second game, like this person is bringing up. Wooly in Amanda 2 definitely seems a lot more evil than he was in Amanda 1. So I do think that this theory is a possibility. However, I think that him being more evil in Amanda 2 is more about, I think it's less about him being more evil in Amanda 2 and more about us seeing more of his evil side. In my opinion, I think Wooly was always evil, right? I mean, I think even from Amanda 1, he was working from Hameln. I just think in Amanda 2, he shows his evil side a little bit more. At least that's what I think. But honestly, Wooly's disappearance in between Amanda 1 and 2 is still a bit of a mystery, so thanks for bringing it up. And it also perfectly leads into this next person's theory. This next theory is from Heather778. My theory is that Sam was Wooly in the first game when Wooly was just trying to keep Amanda on the kid-friendly side and he was just a caring dad. But in the second game, Sam was taken out of the picture and replaced with a wolf in sheep's clothing, a Hameln employee. The Hameln employee was more standoffish with Rebecca because he doesn't have a father's love for his daughter like Sam does. That's why in the second game, he doesn't seem as caring to Rebecca in the show during the second game as compared to the first game. That's just my theory.
A game
I understand if not, but if you do pick my theory, can you shout out Emmy and her mom? Me and my mom watch you all the time and it would mean the world to me.
No.
Hello, Emmy and Mom. Thank you for watching my video. And also thank you for sending over this theory because it's dope. So you can see how these theories are very similar to each other. Now, you guys already know how I feel about the Sam is Wooly theory, but I'm not gonna lie, this comment did make me rethink things a bit. Because my belief of Sam not being Wooly operates under the assumption that Wooly from the second game and the first game is the same Wooly, which in all honesty, I'm not 100% confident in that claim. Like I said, I do think it's the same Wooly, but on the off chance it's not, and these are two different Woolies, maybe the first Wooly was Sam. I mean, you guys know which side of the coin I'm on. I think Wooly is a Hameln employee and not Sam, but I still wanted to lay out this theory because I thought she made a lot of great points. So what do you guys think? Yo, what is this person's profile pic, bruh? Aria6486. You good? All right, the next theory is from Parker Fowler 9383, and he says, something's up with Joanne and with the audio tape we find at the end of ATA 2. In the tape, Kate says that Joanne is dead, which obviously isn't true if the masked figure is indeed Joanne. I think that either the masked figure is only posing as Joanne and has an ulterior motive with the tapes, or the audio tape is not real and was fabricated by Amanda to manipulate Riley. Also, I think that while it is most likely that the possum is Jordan, it could be Kate. If the possum is Jordan, then we should have seen him in ATA 1, but we didn't. And it makes more sense for them to be Kate because Kate just died. Okay, wow. As far as Joanne not being Joanne, I'm not sure about that. I'm gonna be real, like, I don't think the game would make it this big reveal and we literally see her name at the bottom being Joanne if it wasn't actually Joanne. Based on everything we know about that character, it makes perfect sense for it to be Joanne. But I do want to talk about what you said about the possum because you bring up a really good point that I actually thought about when I was making my statements on the possum in my Aunt Kate video. So a while back, I was actually going to make a theory on the possum and I was actually going to disprove the whole possum is Jordan theory, right? And just to catch anyone up who isn't familiar with that theory, Jordan is Joanne's little brother who went missing. He was one of the original kids that went missing from the Amanda show. And there's a moment towards the end of the second game where the possum tries to call out Joanne's name, which has led to speculation that he is Jordan. And honestly, based on the way that the possum acts, I do think that he's Jordan, right? However, when I was making my theory about the possum originally, I actually thought that the possum was Aunt Kate. And I'll spare you guys the details, but I just came across a lot of contradictions that made that theory not work. But regardless, one of my main reasons that I speculated the possum to be Kate was because the possum is not present in Amanda the Adventurer 1. Like, Jordan is one of the original kids that went missing. He went missing around the time that Kate and Joanne were investigating the tapes, right? Which was pre-Amanda the Adventurer 1. So in theory, the possum absolutely would have been in the show by the time we get to the first game, but he's not. This was definitely a contradiction I thought about a lot, and honestly, I very seriously considered the possibility that the possum wasn't Jordan. However, while this is a bit of a contradiction, I actually don't think it's a contradiction if you think about it. Even though Amanda the Adventurer 1 takes place after all that stuff with Kate and Joanne and Jordan, the tapes don't necessarily do. We don't know exactly when the tapes aired for the first time or when those tapes, what year those tapes were from exactly, but we can speculate that those tapes could have been early. And especially because Kate was investigating the Amanda show, we know that tapes existed while Kate was investigating it, which means that the tapes we watch in Amanda the Adventurer 1 could have been the very first tapes or among the first episodes. So even though it is a bit of a contradiction, there is an explanation there. And I agree. I think the timing of the possum coming into the show right as Kate dies, or more accurately disappears, is very suspicious, especially because she has a bunker that leads directly into Hameln headquarters. I mean, who's to say she didn't sneak in there and somehow put herself into the show as the possum and, try to take it down from the inside? I actually did at one point make a theory about Aunt Kate being the possum, but I scrapped it because if I was a betting man, I would probably put my money on Jordan. But this is still a really great theory. You should do a gameplay of Amanda the Adventurer 3. I actually do think a gameplay of Amanda 3 on the channel could be really fun, like doing a gameplay but also theorizing along the way. But I played Amanda the Adventurer 2 and I got stuck on some of those puzzles for hours. I might just be slow, but I saw Corey get stuck on those puzzles too, so it ain't just me. But it could still be fun, so let me know if you guys want to see that and I'll definitely consider it. All right, so the next couple theories are from Catherine Dermody 4698. Sorry if I butcher these names. Y'all do not have easy names. So they sent over a couple theories. One of the ones I thought was the most interesting was they brought up how in that secret Wooly tape from the first game, where he's just sitting at the table and doing nothing, called Herd of Mouth, they brought up that the logo of that episode has a peach instead of an apple, which I thought was interesting for a couple different reasons, right? Wooly openly states in an earlier episode that he's allergic to apples. So it's only fitting that the logo of his own episode would be a peach instead of an apple. I don't know how much I could really extrapolate from this. I mean, it's just a peach, but I do think it's interesting to bring up no matter what. So thanks for sending that theory over. They also sent over another theory, and this is probably one of the most interesting ones I found, which is that the Butcher is also linked to a demon and likely Paimon.
Paimon.
One of the secret tapes in Amanda the Adventurer 1 shows either Kate or one of Kate's associates infiltrating the Hameln base, and they overhear Rebecca saying some kind of weird demonic incantations, right? And they name 3 demons, which is Paimon, Balaam, and the third one's slipping my mind. It's Paimon, Balaam, and okay, low-key, I forgot. I'm not gonna lie, but I'll just edit it in. Now, I made a video called Wooly's Sinister Secret, and in that video, I claimed that Wooly was also linked to a demon like Rebecca, and that demon was Balaam. So if Wooly is Balaam, it actually makes perfect sense for the Butcher to be Paimon, especially because we literally see him baking pies in one of the episodes, so he deadass is the pie man if you think about it, which I guess technically would make Rebecca Bael just by process of elimination.
Yeah, right.
And the last theory comes from, who's this? Oh my God.
Read, nigga, read!
Okay, Loki, I'm not even gonna try to say this person's name. The last theory comes from this person. I've heard of a theory saying that Wooly isn't just a real person at all. He's something like an AI program that was developed by Hameln to keep Amanda in line. It feels like it could be right, but it also is probably the least interesting one. No experiments on people or anything. Come on, LOL. Damn, bro. So I've actually heard the Wooly is an AI theory before, but the reason I've never took it seriously is actually because of something you brought up in this comment, which is that if Wooly was revealed to be an AI, I just feel like that would be so anticlimactic compared to literally anything else. You know what I mean? Wooly is the most mysterious character in the game. His identity is probably the main mystery that the community is trying to figure out. And if it was just something boring like an AI, it just wouldn't hit. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, he just doesn't act like an AI. He doesn't. It's still a theory that's worth being part of the conversation though. All right, that's all the theories we're gonna do this episode. Sorry if I couldn't get to them all, but if I missed you and you have a really good theory, just drop it down on this one and maybe I'll do a part 2 to this down the line. Either way, thank you guys for sending your theories over. And with all that being said, this is Marzilla signing out.